Welcome to another episode of What Day Is It? This is your favorite Hump Day podcast. We're bringing our sensual voices to your ears this coming Wednesday. We are happy to have all of you listeners, all two of you. We are so incredibly grateful for you. This week, we're kind of winging it. We're doing something a little bit off the wall here, and we have Fluffy, I believe, our second in-person guest.
Second, yeah.
That is fucking awesome. I like doing the in-persons a little more than over the internet. It creates better quality because I fucking suck with computers. But anyway, we have a very good friend of mine here with us today. This is Abe Robinson. He is the founder of Cleveland-based Blind 7 Photography. Abe, how are you?
I'm doing all right.
What do you got going on? You know, why are you here? If you want to just spill the beans, why we're all at Rigdon Ranch.
We are here to create a commercial book for Rigdon Ranch to be able to sell in their gift shop and online, probably, if I can figure that out. And then to do some interviews and we're putting together in a documentary.
It's been a great time. You know, we're incredibly happy to have you, and it's just been the coolest watching you work. And I mean, I've got to work with you for, I don't know, X amount of years now, and it's always been a pleasure. Through the past, you know, we're always on here talking about camels and shit, and me and Fluffy work camels. I do a little video work myself. Mostly the Blue Moon Wedding at this point. I used to do, Abe would call me, I don't know, the $100 music videos. I'd be in the hood.
Give yourself credit. It was the $300.
Okay, $300 music videos. And, but he took me up under his wing for a while, doing miscellaneous stuff. I was grip mostly and some camera operator. We did haunted houses together. The first thing I did for him was a behind the scenes with some models. It was he took me to a place called Jekyll Island, Georgia. Never been there. It was super, super cool. But Abe and I, we met at a job that was hired out from Jodan Farms. We brought animals to a modeling shoot, and he was a guest at the shoot. He was a guest photographer because he's fucking special and great at everything that he does.
Actually, I wasn't a guest at that one. I had an event the day before, and it flopped.
Oh.
So the owner of the gallery was like, "Oh, I have an event tomorrow since you've driven 6.5 hours to flop. If you want to attend tomorrow, no charge. Just, come here before you head back." So I did, and I'm glad I did.
Yeah, I'm definitely glad you did too. It's led to a lot of odd opportunities that I never would have thought. You know, it was we had talked about this a little bit yesterday, and I think a little bit today too. We had a camel there. The serval was there. We had Ty, the capuchin monkey.
You brought Ty on a job? Wow.
Yeah.
Never brought him on a job.
I can't think what else.
The red parrot was there.
Bill. Bill. And then did we have the gator?
Yeah.
Purse was there.
Purse tried to run out the back door, and you and I grabbed her by the tail. While all of the soccer dads ran the other way.
That's kind of what I was getting to here, because it was you had to be the only photographer in the room that wasn't like sweating.
Yeah.
You're a different breed of photographer, because Abe, you have a very vast background in animals.
Yes.
You know, that's your wildlife portfolio is just, I don't know, a million photographers, man, but you got it. Whatever it is, you got it. Like could you even, like, how many hands would you need to count how many species you've photographed?
Oh, God. A football stadium's worth, it seems like, at this point.
Now, like, this is kind of what the fun's gonna come down to today, guys. Talk about, is he has a vast history with the animals, but from multiple angles. One in his own hands and one from behind the glass, and that's really fucking cool. And that's what makes him an incredible photographer with animals. We this last weekend while we've been doing his photography, you know, I've been on grip, you know, putting up sheets and shit, and then I moved some equipment and stuff. But one of Blind Seven's people, Rob, did most of the work as far as like setup and shit goes. But we were in probably pens doing photos with some of these animals they're 5 foot wide, 10 foot deep.
Yeah.
And, you know, we're in there with this serval cat pissed off, and Abe's just in there patient as can be. He was probably in there for an hour, maybe a little over an hour.
Right,
And we photographed so many exotic animals this weekend, and nobody got hurt. It was incredible. Abe may have got backed into by a camel, but whatever.
Happens.
But he's the only person I could think of that could do this with the camera in his hands and just be as patient as he is. And it's not wildlife photography at this point. We're in a pen. It's close quarters with exotic animals. It's not you put a long lens on your camera and shoot a giraffe from 100 yards away. There is a dangerous task to this, and I couldn't think of anybody else to do that. So, you know, diving into this, let's hear a little bit more of all this from Abe's side. You know, how do you feel when you're photographing these animals? Like, and how do you kind of keep yourself calm?
Honestly, I just feel very akin to them. Like, I know that they're unpredictable. I know that I've learned to read body language and things like that, but it's more of I'm not going to do anything to piss them off, but if they do bite me, attack me, whatever, I deserved it because I'm the one that messed up. And animals are inherently not aggressive. They're scared. So if I'm scared, that heightens them. They read off of me. So I just think of them as friends. They're all my friends. Granted, it's bit me in the ass a few times, but you live and you learn. You know, I've been bit by a lot of things: stung, snapped, bit, kicked, iguana tail to the eye. Like,
that's no bueno.
What's the worst bite?
Two things. One was a tegu. It was a black-throated tegu. She was full grown. And
What's a tegu? Sorry.
A tegu is basically a slightly smaller monitor.
Okay.
More. I don't know, they get like 3.5, 4 feet tops. She was like 3.5 feet, pretty hefty. She was sick, and I was cleaning out her cage while she was on display at a pet store. A customer walked up and distracted me, and I should have pulled my hand out of the cage before I talked to the customer, and I got too close, and she swallowed my thumb.
Oh.
And the cool thing about those guys is their teeth are not teeth; they're cartilage that's like razor sharp, and instead of them being in rows, they stack like this. So when they bite, they saw basically through things. So she wrapped around my entire thumb area, tried to swallow it, and they kind of gator roll sometimes and shake their heads to kill whatever. She wasn't paying attention. She just saw something move and was like, ooh, food, or, like something's in my face, like whatever. That was totally my fault. I bled everywhere. The little kids screamed and ran. And the mom was not very happy. They were asking me about a goldfish or something, and here I am spraying blood all over the freaking wall. Second worst bite would probably be, I went to a pumpkin patch with my ex, and we
all have a bad pumpkin patch.
Oh, yeah.
I was picking out pumpkins, and they had just had a baby cow. Dairy cow, and it was like, they put like a big pile of hay around it so people could walk up and touch it, but its mom was with it. And my dumbass ex had a brand new leather jacket on, smelling of all cow, and I don't know if that's why it happened or what, but the mom just like reached out, grabbed a hold of my knee, and yoinked my big fat ass up in the air and dropped me on my head. So, yeah, second worst bite was a cow. So
that's impressive. You're the first person I know that got eaten by a cow.
yeah, I mean, I've had I've been bit by snakes and spiders and
The common ones.
Yeah, the things that you would expect to be
Things that bite.
That damn cow got me.
What animal has bitten you the most?
Oh, I would have to say probably corn snakes.
Really?
It's very specific. Too.
Yeah, yeah, because well, like ball pythons, I've been bit by probably once.
Sure.
You know, they're super nice, and it happened to be a very sick one, and the person that I was rescuing it from did not take care of it, and it hadn't eaten in like 6 months and was just about to die, and it was last ditch effort, and nipped me. But yeah, corn snakes every time. Like, I don't know what it is. And I just shot one last Saturday. Or no, it's 2 Saturdays ago. I shot a corn snake.
With a camera.
With a camera, yeah. Yeah, not a hunter. That's my dad's thing. But yeah, and I have, it was fine. But it was the only snake during that thing that I was like, man, if I pick this one up, it's going to bite me. And I picked it up anyways, because that's just me. But yeah, the photography went well. My friend Steffi's got so many animals. We've done. She has a crow named Jasper who's awesome.
Cool.
She's got monitors and snakes and spiders. We were playing around with a beautiful Mexican firefoot. And then she's got a 16-year-old rosy hair.
No, not for me.
Firefoot spider.
Yes,
Tarantula.
tarantula.
Yeah, nope.
They're
They
beautiful.
give me the heebie-jeebies, man.
You know,
I respect them.
I used to own a bird eater, and that's a spider about the size of a dinner plate.
Yeah.
It's hefty. You can feel the weight when it's walking on you. But
I'd fucking puke.
But the weird thing is, like, I have no fear when it comes to the big guys. You hand me a little spider that's like the size of a quarter, and I'm like, oh god, it's gonna bite me. And I'm not scared of it, but at the same time, I'm like, oh please don't bite me. And
So no black widows then.
No.
Brown recluse out too.
I actually got bit by a brown recluse.
Ooh, how was that?
It left a hole in the inside of my thigh for like, I would say like 2 months. Yeah, it was.
Any treatment for that or
No, just keep it clean.
okay.
Didn't get infected or nothing.
No, not really. I it crawled up my pant leg or in my pants somehow, and I went to sit down and I squished it, and I got home to take a shower, and I was like, man, my leg hurts. Look down, and there's a squished brown recluse, and big old hole in my leg started already. So yeah.
Oh,
ouch.
Yeah, I'd cry.
Was that up by your house or?
Yeah, actually, it was at work. I was working at a restaurant, and there was a swamp right behind the restaurant, and I was standing outside talking bullshit and smoking cigarettes after work one night. And that's when it got me.
Oh, wow.
Would not be a happy camper. I'd cry and scream and probably burn the building down.
Yep, I do not like. Yeah, no.
I don't like spiders.
I can honestly tell you though, the only animal that I don't like, and I still like it, is a chihuahua. Like
they're bitey little bastards.
It's not that.
But they're cute.
Man, I don't know what. Yeah, it's the little yappy dogs that get me. Like, I want a dog that it walks by the room and I'm like, is that a bear? Like, that's the kind of dog I want. But
see, if I were to get a dog, honestly, I probably wouldn't go any bigger than like a medium-sized dog. I like the little, like, I would get a little terrier. You know, my house ain't that big. I don't want you to take up that.
Well, my house is the size of this office. So,
so Abe, how did you get started? Not specifically in photography, but with photographing animals.
Well, it kind of started with, I was like 14. I smoked a lot of cigarettes, and my bus driver happened to know that, and he, I guess the cigarette brand he smoked, if you bought 2 packs, you got a free 35 millimeter black and white camera.
What the fuck?
Yeah, welcome to the 90s. Yeah. There was Lucky Strike non-filters was the kind of
Wow.
So
Heavy boys.
yeah, and he was a biker dude too. So of course I'm not at 14 heavily tattooed, but I had long hair, wore all black, had the guy lantern thing going, and spike bracelets and looking like a weirdo. It's like Marilyn
90s.
Oh yeah, I was a Marilyn Manson kid all the way.
There we go.
Like, so I think Marilyn Manson and Nine Inch Nails were like my shit, still are. But he knew I was like the outcast of all the jocks and the preppy girls and stuff that would get on our bus. So we kind of like became friends, and he collected a hefty bag full of these cameras and he gave them to me. I never really bothered with them too much, but then one day I was doing typical goth kid shit and doing gravestone rubbings with charcoal because I used to do that shit. I loved it. Sitting in the cemetery by myself, being the typical weirdo, and my chalk fell in some water. So I was like, you know what? All right, I'm going to start using these cameras. I use the shit out of them. Once I got the one, walked around the cemetery, and I really loved it. So I fell in love with photography then. And then, I back and forth over the years with having cameras and without having cameras. And then I think the first official, when anybody starts in photography, the easy subjects are landscapes and any animal you can get a picture of, because you don't have to pay them. You don't have to, spend a lot of time in the backyard. Macro photography was something that really interested me because I like the weird abstract stuff. And I started photographing bugs and, oh, look, it's a raccoon in the backyard. Let me walk up to it. And I had started when I was 14. I started at working at PetSmart, and I quickly ran through PetSmart and RMS Aquaculture and a bunch of other places. And I, over the years, just being around animals, became super comfortable with them. So I've always been pretty much animals have always been a part of the photography for me. Professionally shooting animals, like creating portrait work for them, it's been 18 years now, at least.
Do you know what the first one was? The first professional portrait?
First professional portrait. Oh man, I bet you it was some sort of. Yeah, actually, it was my snake Akasha.
What kind of snake was that?
A ball python.
Sure.
Yeah, I had her for years. She was my baby girl, and then she just died of old age.
Sure.
Yeah, she was ancient.
So, out of all the species that you photographed over the years, what's your favorite?
Ooh, I like eyes. I think the eyes of the animal really tell a story. And over the years, I would probably have to say an owl, but the kookaburra this weekend might have up on that, because I like things that show personality, and birds have a tendency to look back at you, whereas a cat is basically telling you to screw off the whole time. You're photographing camels and horses or whatever, and any prey animal is basically looking at you. Are you going to eat me?
Right.
So reptiles have a tendency to just be like, they're almost, they do have heart, and they do look at you, and you can tell if a snake is mad during a photo or happy or, whatever.
You can reason with it.
No, you cannot reason with. That is one thing. You cannot reason with reptiles. You can. They're food motivated, but they're going to do what they want, whether you yell at them or, whatever. They're like, yeah, I don't care, and just keep going. But yeah, birds have a tendency to have really deep, meaningful eyes. And so birds in general.
I just want to let you know, that's wrong, because you should have been camels, but that's just,
Well,
that's what you should have said.
Yeah, you know what? Me and my homie Doofus, I love Doofus. Like he's my boy. That's for sure.
What animal is giving you the most trouble photographing?
Birds again, every single time. Because they always fly away, and I'm like, no, or they turn around and show me their ass instead of actually looking at me.
It's like
I
a
was.
girlfriend.
I have to say, honestly, probably cats, like little, like house cats.
Sure.
Like big cats, like when I came in to photograph Sabrina last time, a peach. You know, Gunther was fantastic. You know, I was like, roar, and he roared. Like, that was, you know, I was like, yes.
I taught him that.
Yeah, I went home and it was just like, I can't believe I got to hang out with Gunther. Like, I was so excited. You know, I had been around a lion before, but like, I don't know, something about Gunther's personality good to me.
He was incredible. Thanks, Fluffy.
Yeah, I tried.
Yeah.
Me and Jason both tried on that one.
We have there's baby photos of him floating around. We'll have to dig him up, man. He's so cute. He was just in one, you know, the small pen in the elephant barn. They're raising him up. He's adorable.
Pretty sure I got one too.
You gotta find him.
Yeah.
I know Jason has sent me one or two.
Yeah.
So, maybe not troublesome, but whether it was in the wild or a large park, whatever it be, what's the animal you've sat and waited the longest for a shot? Also birds.
Yeah. Actually squirrels. So I have this, I don't know. I tried to challenge myself every so often as a photographer, and I'll be like, I'm going to photograph this. And we have 3 main types of squirrels in Cleveland. We have black, we have gray, and brown. Mm-hmm. Browns are the most common. They're everywhere. There was a science experiment in the 70s at Kent, Ohio. That's a college in Ohio that they were trying to figure out, like they were cross-geneticking squirrels, and they created black squirrels. Really? Well, the experiments got let loose in the courtyard, and now they are a subspecies. Mm-hmm. They've mixed with browns and grays, and sometimes they come out, you know, dark black, sometimes they come out lighter black, but there's now 3 major species of squirrel in Northeast Ohio anyways.
You know, I've seen black squirrels in a few states in the Midwest, but never down south.
They're all from Kent. Yeah. They all originated from Kent, Ohio. On just some weird experiment. There's other black squirrels that aren't, because ours are literally a carbon copy of the brown ones, just black.
Sure.
Yeah. Brown ones are everywhere. So I gave myself a challenge one day, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to photograph a brown squirrel, a black squirrel, and a gray squirrel. I want a good photograph of everything. And I hunted and hunted and hunted. And actually, the only other one I have a bucket shot, I guess you could say. I want to shoot with the camera, a large buck, whether it's deer, elk, something like that, in a snowy field with the breath coming out of its mouth. I want that shot so bad for my portfolio, and I have 18 deer that live in my backyard. Like, you know, I haven't been able to get, every time the snow is perfect in the backyard, I don't see any deer. Every time I see the deer, there's no snow. So, oh yeah, we get a couple of big bucks back there. So
it's got to go up north where the deer are.
Yeah,
or a moose. Moose would be cool too.
Meese.
Well, we stayed at that B&B for just for shits and giggles. And
where was that?
That is like on the Georgia-Ohio border. I can't remember what it was called right off. It was like, do you remember what the B&B was called?
Rob? No.
Yeah, I can't remember what it was called, but yeah, the guy's got like a mini farm, and he had 3 elks, but the one elk killed the other one during rut.
He had a baby camel there too.
Yeah.
It was cool.
He's like, you want to see my camel?
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
The last time, because I went with you, and then I went with Rob, and when me and Rob went there, they didn't have the pigs that they had because they had two like 600-pound pigs.
Were massive, laid on their side, didn't do anything. Pigs.
Yeah, like they were as big as this table, man. They were ginormous.
Absolutely.
That was per pig.
Bacon? I don't know.
Yeah, that's exactly what they turned them into. They were just meat pigs.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they were ginormous. Like the ribs from them must have fed like 8 people. Exactly.
Like we went over, we were saying hi to all that. Well, first of all, this Airbnb gives you a gator to ride on, and you got to go down like that hill. I swear is on like a 45.
Oh yeah, it's
B&B. And then the top, he has a large shed that he does taxidermy in, and then the rest of it was kind of like the, I guess if you could call it, zoo area. And
there's also the mini like or like the mini mid or like, West Coast.
Yeah, like, the what the fuck are you trying to say? It's like a little cowboy days.
Yeah, a little cowboy village.
Yeah,
made out of scrap metal and random pieces of wood and pallets. And
we were saying hello to all the animals, and like walk over, sup pig, and just on his side, big as fuck, didn't roll, didn't say hi, just oink,
just chilling.
Yeah, its oink sounded like a truck starting.
Big old diesel engine in it.
Well, the last time we went there, it was me and Rob. They had just bought a longhorn steer.
Okay.
And this thing's I've never Rob, he was using a 11 millimeter lens, which is like ultra wide, and could barely get the whole horns in it. Like
wow.
I want to say they were at least 12 feet wide.
That's fucking wild, man.
Yeah, and it's just it's barely, its head's like touching each side of the barn. Like it's in.
Those are the type of cattle you got to load into the trailer sideways.
Yeah, right.
Oh, you don't put those in a trailer.
No. They want a flat head.
You like cut off. You cut like a bar out of the entire trailer so that the horns just line up and lock in. They're just like poking traffic.
It would be like the ultimate cattle trailer. You got to put like red Menards flags on the hip.
Just a little bit of tape.
Don't hit these.
We got a crossbreed at Longhorn and Watusi. See what happens. Did you see? Oh my god!
It's probably a thing. I'm
Gotta
sure.
be.
I don't know.
Yeah.
What would you even call it? Latusi? Hornusi?
Hornusi.
The Lagusi. Get in there and get that Lagusi.
Oh, that's sick.
It sounds so gross.
So, Abe, what's the most exotic thing? I know exotic's kind of on the spectrum. What's the most exotic thing that you photographed?
Oh man.
If it's besides women, if it's like a rhino, cool, but like it's on a spectrum.
Yeah, let's see. I've photographed cheetahs, wild dogs.
Wild dogs, that's cool.
Trying to think of
camel.
I've photographed a lot of camel actually.
They're not even fucking exotic anymore, fucking USDA.
Same as a cow.
Or no, they are exotic now. They're not livestock anymore, fucking USDA.
Government.
Fucking government.
God. Ruining our lives.
They're livestock.
I have photographed some beautiful jellyfish over the years. I've photographed, I can't remember what they're called right off. And it's going to drive me nuts. They have them at the wilds and we photographed them there. They're kind of like big ass sheep, but,
yep.
But they live up in the mountains and they've got like this horrible, like thick mucus on their fur. And they're kind of pissy, but
the first thing that came to my mind was an aoudad, but I don't
know.
Think that's it.
No.
Yeah, I can't remember what they're called right off, but they like breed them at the wilds, and they've got a ton of them.
You ever shot an okapi?
I think so, actually.
Oh, okay, cool. That's like most exotic.
That would be that's damn exotic.
Yeah.
I've shot vipers before.
Well, the Columbus Zoo has a breeding program for okapi,
really?
And Columbus is part of the wilds, right?
Yeah, I've never actually been to the Columbus Zoo.
Oh no.
Yeah, I've only every time I just go to the wilds.
The breeding program for the okapi isn't at the it's not at the Columbus Zoo. It's actually behind an old haunted house. probably about 2 years ago, my buddy got hired to do a transport. It was not an animal, it was a large animal chute, a containment device, and it was nice, hydraulic. You could squeeze the deer, and it was for elk.
Oh yeah. Okay.
We picked that up from a safari park in Illinois, and then we drove it to this property of Columbus Zoo. And we get there, we're pulling into this gate, and I'm like, we're not at the right place, man. You gotta so he called and somebody came out and it was the right spot. So it was like a 1,000,000-year-old property. Not really a million years old, but old ass property. And so when this old guy died, he donated his property to the Columbus Zoo.
Oh,
and I have photos. I'll pull them up and show you. It's Fluffy, fix your mic.
Yeah.
You gotta tighten it, dude.
Yeah. Sorry.
Mic check.
I don't normally edit the podcast, but I'll edit that.
Yeah, leave it.
When we pulled up, it was the left and right of the driveway, the metal fence with the pointy tops on it. There was a statue of this guy's head in the front yard, like on a pillar. And then it was the most Scooby-Doo house I'd ever seen in my life. Like it was a square house. And then it was a smaller square on that one, and then a smaller square on that one really high up, and it had the pointy, pointy fence on the top of the house.
Yeah, wow. That's called a widow's walk.
Really?
Okay, then it had a widow's walk.
I have this weird obsession with history.
And it had gargoyles as well. You can't forget the fucking gargoyles. It was haunted as fuck. And I didn't go inside, but it had to be. And so anyway, behind this house, there's a trail and there's some garages and blah, 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 blah. And there's a barn that is split for breeding okapi and breeding cheetah. I didn't see the okapi. It might have been the only chance I had to maybe possibly really get up close. But the people were super nice. And I didn't, when we visit facilities on transports and stuff, I don't like to, really overstay my welcome and ask for things. But yeah, that's Columbus Zoo. They got a fucking okapi breeding program behind a haunted house.
Wow.
You would never know it. I'll have to try and find the photo. I need to start actually putting photos in this fucking podcast video so people can see. I say I'm going to do that all the time, and then when I'm editing, I suck. I'm sorry, guys. But yeah, that was absolutely wild. I think I interrupted you, Abe. What the fuck were you? How did we get here?
You asked me the most exotic animal or photographs, and I can't really come up with that. Like I've photographed like all sorts of insects and
giant squid.
I have not. Oh, I would love to.
That's a bucket.
I'd love to. I actually would like to be able to photograph. So I've photographed a lot of fish, mostly in aquarium. I would love to learn how to dive and actually photograph, in the ocean. But unfortunately, now I've got flippers for feet already, so I can't be doing that anymore. But I want to say jellyfish probably is.
Wow. Okay.
Sure.
Yeah, I've a whole variety of different jellyfish.
I was just gonna ask which one.
Yeah, bell tops. A lot of bell tops. I can't remember right off.
It's that really big one.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
That monstrous one.
If it lives in water, I don't know shit about it.
Yeah, there's probably 10,000 different types of jellyfish. So
they're all scary.
So out of every, all the species you've photographed, outside of the animals you've worked with, you've had 1,000,001 opportunities to learn about animals.
Yeah.
You have a pretty vast background in reptiles and such. Just kind of compiling everything together when it comes to working with animals. What is do you have a number one rule? What's the most important thing you have to know when you're around these creatures?
It's a combination rule. It's patience and respect. You have to understand that they don't understand you. So you need to remain calm, keep patient. Eventually, the animal will wander and do what it's going to do, and you're going to get the photograph. If you try to force it, you try to yell at it to give you what you want, you're never going to get it. It's going to fight you until its last breath. So just let it be. Let it be natural. The best photographs are when it's doing what it's going to do, like when it's doing what it does naturally. That's what you're there to. You're not there to photograph a bear on a bouncing ball with a, juggling. You're there to photograph a bear in the woods eating some berries or chasing down a buck.
Mm-hmm.
You want to photograph it doing what it's doing, so it's an impressive photo. So chasing it around is a dumb thing too. You just gotta wait for it to come to you. Patience and respect. Just when it's done, you're done. Whether you got the shot or not, you just gotta. Some days, animals are a lot like humans. They have good days, they have bad days, and those days can switch on a dime. So you have to be the one to go, okay, cool. Maybe we'll try it again tomorrow. And, if it's an animal that, say you're out photographing wolves in the Arctic, you might not get it tomorrow. But if that's a shot you want as a photographer, you got to go back and try again.
Yeah. That's super honorable for sure.
And don't be afraid to get bit.
Yeah, that's number one, I'm sure.
You'll only bleed for a little bit.
You ever been bit by a hot snake?
I have not.
Okay.
I got struck at repeatedly, but I have not actually been tagged.
Well, thank goodness. I guess on that subject, what's what do you think the most dangerous situation you've been in photographing animals?
I've photographed some rattlers that they make me a little nervous sometimes. But
Get down, cat.
But honestly,
Okay, he went behind it.
yeah, I'm gonna knock this laptop on the ground because I'm a cat. I do what I want. It's kind of funny. The one and only animal that makes me nervous, and I have no idea why. It's probably one of the most common animals.
Horse.
Good call.
And my wife's a horse trainer. Like, she loves horses. They're her life. And I can't get a read on them. And know that, and she tells me all the time, like, they've got, they've got mood instructors on their head. Their ears will tell you what to do. I just, for some odd reason, just cannot get, like, acquainted with them. I photograph horses from a distance. I've get up and pet them and whatnot, but like, and I'll go to the barn with her occasionally, and she'll be like, "Here, hold the reins real fast while I go get a bucket." And I'm like,
no,
just looking, me and the horse just looking at each other like, oh shit.
You're like, what if I fart? It's gonna run away and hit a wall.
There's no plastic bags in the arena.
No eating, no drinking, no bags, no anything. Leave everything in your car outside.
Well, it's like, I mean, the best way to describe a horse is a full bathtub, like a bathtub full of water, balanced on 4 toothpicks. Like,
I love that analogy.
Like, they just
Is it full of water or like
yeah, so it
full?
sloshes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On the back of a pickup truck with bad suspension
on a bumpy road.
Yeah, on a bumpy road. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Wisconsin road.
Yeah, but like, and here's the thing: while I know that I'm nervous around horses, and horses can read that, which is why they become nervous, and it's just one of those animals that I've just not been able to get over. Like, I have literally been face to face with hot snakes, vipers. Like, I've Eastern Diamondback. I had I want to say 8 to 10 foot Western Diamondback in the wild crawl across my feet in the dark.
Nope.
I just sat there and watched it. She didn't care about me. She walked right over my legs, went on hunting bunny. She didn't give a shit.
Far less nervous than you are around a horse.
Absolutely. And I have no idea why. Like,
I do think I could argue that your nerves are the reason horses are nervous. I think horses are just nervous 24/7.
Yeah.
I feel like they're
Neurotic.
on edge, man. Like, there's just.
Although now, instead of a horse trainer, she's probably going to become a camel something or other, because she's going to like glue herself to
Come to the light side.
We raised her up right around here.
Yeah, she's been here a few days now, and she's in love with Newton.
You saw the good side of things. Yeah, it's Newton is a lot of people's favorites because of how personable he is, but I think I find it funny after his big old nasty temper tantrum the other day, she's still just like all over him. You know, like she understands animals too, and she ain't scared of nothing. Mm-hmm. You know,
well, she's been wrangling big ass horses her entire life. You know, she's only like 5'3", 5'2", something like that, 5'4".
After dealing with big old dumb horses your whole life, going to camels, man, it's
yeah. I mean, have you ever been around a Frisian?
Yes,
that's a big ass horse.
The first time I ever saw one, I was actually doing a camel ride.
Oh.
We were at a festival somewhere. It might have been in Cedar Creek, and they had them doing a carriage ride.
Oh yeah.
But they would walk past the camel ride area, and I was with Doofus. And Doofus, he likes horses, if you know what I mean. This horse, it was two of them pulling this carriage. And this is the first time I never knew it. This is the first time I realized that there were horse species the same size as camels, if not can be larger.
Yeah, between the Frisians and the Clydesdales.
Just fucking nuts.
Monsters.
And the horse itself is already terrifying, but then you look and see that its hoof is a foot wide. No, absolutely the fuck not. If you get kicked in the face by that thing, you're not walking away. There's no goddamn way.
So one of my first jobs was morticianary assistant. And one of the first bodies I saw was a kid that got kicked in the face by a mule.
Oh, wow.
And that is, you know what? That's probably the memory that kid's like, ooh, it's hooved. No.
Yeah.
Because, that was.
I don't like hooves.
3 years ago now at Racine County Fair, I brought a camel with me named Stormy. He didn't end up being a very well working camel. Turns out we think that he had like some hip dysplasia and whatnot, but we were testing the waters. He was older, needed a job. Anyway, we were at the fair. This was one of his first time out, and I was sitting behind this camel, crisscross, applesauce. This was complete user error, probably the dumbest thing I've ever done. I decided I'm going to annoy him, because annoying animals is part of training.
Of course.
But not crisscross, applesauce, while he's standing on his feet next to me. And I started poking him in the back of the leg with my finger.
So you were asking for it?
I was asking for it. This is completely my fault, user error. It was all my fault. Anyway, he decided, fuck you, and he went to kick me. And my head was only probably at the height of his fucking knee, and if that. And so his foot directly aligned like the stars with my eye socket. He literally hit me in the right eye socket. And I kind of hit the ground for a little bit, but I got right up. No black eye, not a single black eye, not a single mark. It was a little red for a little while, of course. I had a concussion. I don't know. It was one of the worst headaches I've ever had in my life. Like, I definitely got wrung by this camel. Completely my fault again. I couldn't even be mad at him. Like, I literally just walked away from him. It was my fault. And this is why we annoy them from afar at a point. But anyway, moral of the story is, if that was a hoof, I would not be here.
Yeah.
There's no fucking way. Or I would have lost an eyeball.
Have you ever been punched by a snake?
No, excuse me?
So, it just reminded me, because you said you got hit in the eye. One time, it was my early 20s, my neighbor had some snakes, some big snakes. And he had like a 18-foot retic. This thing was massive. And he had built this cage for it. It was just like made out of like 1x1 squares and cable fencing and shit. It was in his living room. It was at least 8 feet wide. It had a good sized human door. But dumbass put the basking lamp, well, one of them, directly above the door and put a shelf directly above the door.
Huh.
But there was like a second shelf that there was like a split in the middle. Hi, kitty.
That's podcast cat.
Yeah. And he was like, hey man, I'm out of town. Can you go feed my snake? And would you feed my spiders too? And I was like, yeah, sure, not a problem. Go over, open his door. I didn't quite realize that I had not been in the house yet. We'd only been neighbors for a little while. The snake is ginormous. I'm like, okay, cool. He's like, all right, yeah, in the bedroom, there's a potbelly pig.
What the fuck?
Just this little baby potbelly pig. He's like, just open the door, let it in. The snake will do the rest. And I'm like, okay,
Oh my God.
not a big deal. He feeds live. Yeah, he feeds live. I fed live for years. I always I actually prefer it, but
I like pigs.
Yeah, I do too. But I walk the thing out, open the door, not realizing and not even thinking about the fact that there's a giant snake that now smells food above my head. And I opened the door to let the pig in, and it struck down. It swung down, and its bottom of its jaw went into the bottom of my jaw.
Ooh.
And it opened its mouth so wide, its teeth into the top of my head. I'm 400 pounds plus. It knocked me clean off my feet. Straight up, toes to the ceiling.
Right.
Just, oh man. And so then I like sit up, and the snake, of course, by that point had dropped down. Man, was eating a pig. He didn't give a shit.
Mm-hmm.
I sat up, and because their teeth are so fine, even at that size, I didn't see any blood. By the time I made it back to the house, it was like a river down my face. I never seen so many holes in something. There's so many teeth in that thing's mouth. Like when you're a kid, you're like, oh, it's a snake. It's got 2 fangs. That's it.
Yeah.
Not on constrictors. There's fangs. There's, front fangs. Rear fang snakes are, they got a lot of teeth in there too.
Yeah.
So yeah, he got me good. Knocked me on my ass. I just need getting kicked in the face.
You got knocked the fuck out.
Yeah, I did. And then I went back over there after I patched myself back up, and I opened the other bedroom door where he said the spiders were. I was expecting like a couple of tarantulas. No. It was like shelving units all around the house, like all around the bedroom, just little container. I'm like, I ain't feeding this shit. You'll be back in 2 days. You can do it.
That'll be fine.
It would have taken just the amount of spiders he had in that room, and he had insane amount of variety. Just the amount of spiders, it probably would have taken me 4 days just to feed them all. I don't know how the hell he was doing it. Just getting the container open, putting the cricket in, and closing the door would have taken that damn long. But yeah, we moved out shortly after that.
I would have felt very uncomfortable in the spider room for sure.
I was just like, I just didn't want to have to sit there for like literally hours.
Oh yeah,
single cricketing these things. So
Yeah, fuck that.
But everybody was fine. Everybody survived.
Good. I wouldn't have.
What about like scorpions or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, I've photographed, and when I was working at RMS Aquaculture, we had emperor scorpions and a few other variety. Occasionally, we would get like smaller glow ones, and because some of the smaller desert species actually glow under black light.
It's so cool. I just seen that the other day. Yeah.
But yeah, we would get random, mostly emperor scorpions, because they're, if you would consider a scorpion aggressive, emperors are pretty docile.
Yeah.
They're like the ball python,
Mm-hmm.
or the Labrador of dogs.
What about like the big millipedes or whatever?
African millipedes. So are you talking millipedes or are you talking centipede?
Well, okay. California, my buddy used to shake his shoes out every morning because they used to go in your shoes.
Oh yeah, those are centipedes.
Okay,
so,
centipedes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
millipedes are vegetarians, and they're the thing that was on the Nine Inch Nails Closer. Yeah, it was the Nine Inch Nails Closer album cover and made those things pretty famous. But yeah, African millipedes get like 10 inches long. They got a shit ton of legs, and they eat rotted vegetables. Centipedes, on the other hand, are evil, beautiful, but they're the ones that have like the actual venom, and
Yeah, they got the feet
Yeah, lots of the lot longer legs that come out the sides.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Terrifying.
It's funny. A lot of people I always hear that are like, man, I've got silverfish in my house and I got to get rid of them. Oh. It's never a silverfish. It's always a house centipede. Mm-hmm. They're the only things that clean up the spiders in your house. Spiders kill everything else. Mm-hmm. House centipedes eat the spiders. So
I don't mind the little ones, like about that big, couple inches.
I definitely mind them.
Everybody, I've never met anybody who's like, ooh, house centipedes or centipedes in general, but some of the like more exotic, like African species or South American species of centipede, like the giant centipede, I think that thing gets like 1.5 feet long or something like that. Yes. The Colossus something or other centipede that was like 25 feet long and when it stood up was like, 3 stories tall. Yeah, that I'd have been like, all right, cool, I'm out.
Well, I had that on Aliens and Love and Monsters, that movie, and the centipede just grew. There's the whole story behind it, but it was just like, 3 stories tall. I was like, nope, absolutely.
Yeah, I don't think it was actually 3 stories tall. In prehistoric times, there was centipedes that were monsters. They'd be walking around crushing cars now.
Thank God they're extinct.
That would be the sickest shit.
The only thing I wish we still had from that time period is the tortoises.
Yeah.
Because I want to see a freaking Volkswagen bus sized tortoise just popping about the mud. I was a big fan of Neverending Story when I was a kid. So, minus the fact that scene is like traumatizing. I love the tortoise.
That's funny. That would be really cool to have a giant tortoise. The Galapagos isn't big enough.
Yeah, it's not.
No. It's still monstrous.
It is.
I mean, it's a tortoise that I can ride on.
Yeah, literally. That's your retirement plan still, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I want to get 5 Galapagos tortoises because you can buy them when they're young for a couple thousand, but when they come breeding age, you can sell them for $250,000.
Oh.
So you buy 5 of them, and the 5th one through the years, in theory, that's all the food paid. The rest is just income.
Oh,
but you gotta. It's kind of specific. You gotta find somebody that will spend $250,000 on a Galapagos tortoise. But there's breeders out there. There's zoos, and
isn't the Galapagos that's at the Australian Zoo was like Darwin's.
What? I know what you're talking about.
It's like Darwin and Steve Irwin played with the same Galapagos tortoise.
That's so crazy.
Because those things live for damn near ever.
That's some wild fucking history, man.
Yeah.
Now, Abe, just my general curiosity, I think I know the answer, but outside of the animal talk, what's your least favorite thing to photograph?
Kids.
Yeah.
Hate kids.
That's a green flag, though. So
for us, honestly,
hate children.
Well, do you think there's any comparison between working with children and animals?
No. People are always like, "Oh, it's like working with kids and animals." No, it's like no. I would work with an animal 7 days a week. Put me in front of a kid, and I'm like, "Oh God, can I squish it?"
Can I squish it?
Yeah, I don't know what it is. Kids just are not my thing.
I hear you. I definitely hear you, and unfortunately, I have to work with kids. I'm a big fan of like my niece and nephew. They've grown on me over the years, but man, just kids and. What's worse than the kids is the parents that don't control the kids. And it's not necessary. Kids are fucking annoying, like blunt, but the parents don't teach them the correct shit nor how to be around animals, and that really just fucks our job.
I almost beat the shit out of this kid one day. Dude, I was gonna whoop his ass. I was at the botanical gardens, and we were in the butterfly house, and he grabbed the little pamphlet they give you, like all the butterfly species, and he's thwapping them out of the sky, squishing them. And
absolutely
now I know butterflies don't live that long. They hatch every day, But I I couldn't help myself. I was like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, you got 3 seconds. I see you slap another butterfly and I'm going to hit you with this camera. Like, yeah. And then I've been at the zoo before and you get these little kids that are, because I get bored and, well, before my legs went the way they went, I used to walk around the zoo and just by myself and photograph the animals for fun. And I get these little kids that would be screwing around, slapping on the gorilla's tank and messing with the gorillas. And I'd be like, just picturing if Harambe hadn't died.
Yeah.
You know, the as much as I hate, certain animals being behind glass, at least they're safe from the dumb general public.
Oh yeah. But you never, you always get that thought in the back of your head. You're like, man, I know for a fact that if that gorilla wanted to, that gorilla could get the hell out that cage.
Absolutely.
Especially the Cleveland Zoo. Like, it's a decent enclosure. They're outside. It's not the greatest of all the gorilla enclosures I've seen, but for having a big old silverback in there, and it's not bad. But I also look at it, and it's designed to make it look like they can't get out.
Yeah.
But I guarantee you, they really want it out.
Here's one, just for my general curiosity, get out all the zoos you've been to for any type of photography, or even just in general. What's the worst zoo you've ever been to?
Cleveland.
Really? Your hometown?
Hands down.
Wow.
Is it just like an outdated thing, or?
So I started going to Cleveland Zoo when I was a little kid, like everybody else in the area, and to me, it was something special. I've always been more in tune with animals than people. My mother was a psychopath. So when I would get to go to the zoo, normally with my cousins or whatever, I just sit and stare, watch the sea lions, things like that. And I always thought the zoo was great. And then as I got older and I started working with animals and stuff, I'm not a fan of the hands-off approach. Like, I believe that if you are going to take care of an animal, you need to have a personal relationship with it.
So you don't like municipal zoos?
No, I really don't. They do some great work when it comes to breeding programs and things like that. But if your job, you wake up in the morning and you go to the zoo and your job is to clean the shit out of the hippo's water bowl and take care of that hippopotamus, which is arguably the most dangerous animal on the planet.
Yep.
I would much rather have that hippopotamus respect me, and I respect it back, and I'm patient with it and let it do its thing. But no matter what, if you spend every day with an animal, you're going to form a bond. But they don't trust you fully because you're behind glass in a chute in a cage. Oh. Whereas these smaller facilities, like Jodan and like Rigdon and a couple other ones, there's even the wilds. They get out there and they interact with them. In the wilds is part of Columbus Zoo. I don't know how they're attached as far as like fiscally or whatever, but the Columbus Zoo is very hands off. Surprisingly, they do have some programs that are a little bit more hands on, but nothing compared to like non-municipal zoos. The wilds, on the other hand, we did a tour with Cody, who's like on Animal Planet and stuff. Cody came out and he jumped off the truck, walked right up to the Asian rhino that just had a baby, and they're petting it and scrubbing its back, and they're petting the baby. And there's a level of trust between the animal and the keeper because they work at it. It's a relationship. It's no different than a girlfriend or a boyfriend or, whatever. It's something that you have to work on to start. It's a little rocky, or it's fun and passionate. And then, you might have a bad day and you just got to get over it and work through it. Municipal zoos, because they don't allow their employees to get those relationships, there's always a level of disconnect. They're so afraid of being sued by the keeper, by the moron mother that lets their child fall in a tank. Kids are stupid. Kids are bad. I completely understand it's not always the parents' fault, but goddamn. Why was your kid climbing up on shit? What were you doing? Get off your phone.
Absolutely.
Like, you know, there's plenty of instances kids fall. A guy jumped over a lion pit. Why was he drunk at the zoo? First off,
because they sell beer.
It's 2:00 in the afternoon on a Monday, dude. What are you drunk at that? I mean, if you're drunk at that time, you should be at home. Like,
this is Wisconsin up here, so
this is the when I got kicked out not permanently banned from the Milwaukee County Zoo, it was because drunk people riding the camel were lying about us. They're like, why are you drunk at the zoo? We were doing a late night for Milwaukee County Zoo. We got hired out by BMO Harris Bank to stay there late.
That's a bad one.
And I shut down the pony ride because we didn't have any lights. I can't do fucking pitch dark pony rides. That's dangerous. And they're ponies. They're dumb. And so I go over to the camel ride where it was my buddy Daniel walking the camel and somebody else was loading. And I climb the ramp and I announce that we're closing because we don't have any lights, which is dangerous as fuck. No. What happened is the camel ride didn't have lights, which is also dangerous. The ponies did. But Daniel was my ride home. So, because I didn't have a license yet. So I was going over to the camel ride to announce the closing. And it was just drunk people at the time, you know, and they were so pissed. There was like people in their 30s yelling at us. I was probably like 16, 17, drunk as shit. And when I was bringing the ponies out of the pen to bring them back to their corral, a lady didn't get out of the way, and we had a pony, Cochise, big ass pony. He didn't hit this lady, but he sideswiped her. She wouldn't fucking move. And when I went to stop the pony at the gate, he didn't stop. He knew it was quitting time, so he was ready to go. And she went and complained to the popcorn guy. And I walked back.
Man, them popcorn guys got pulled.
Run that place, man.
I put him away and I went back over there and I was like, dude, what'd you say? And he was like, dog, I'm the popcorn guy. Don't even worry about it. So then.
Now, if it was the gyro dude, you'd be screwed.
Yeah.
So, we were at the camel ride announcing the clothing and they were all just yelling at us and pissed and we rented you to be here. And I'm like, first of all, who is we? You work for them. You didn't pay for this. Shut the fuck up. Yeah. And so Daniel calls Bob. He's like, look, man, we got a pitchfork mob over here. and Bob says, look, I need you to do something, Daniel. And he said, what? He said, comb your hair first.
Man, Bob
did not give up.
No, he did not.
Fuck.
Dude, the very first time I met Bob, this fool, he's sitting in his wheelchair, and I sat down next to him, and I was like trying to figure out how to pitch him on the me coming out to the farm and taking photos of all the animals and like behind the scenes kind of thing. And I'm sitting there thinking, he's like, you trying to wonder how am I missing my legs, huh? And I was like, kind of. And he like wasn't gonna ask, and he's like, nom. I got blown off at nom. And I think it was yeah, and I think it was Cody or something was like, no. I was like, I don't know this guy from shit. Like he's like yeah, nom.
That is so fucking funny. But he used to do this thing all the time where he nom wasn't his typical thing, but people would ask what he did, but his response would be the war.
Yeah,
and they would be like, thank you for your service, but he was talking about the war on diabetes. He always called it the war on diabetes, but he always left it at the war. And sometimes people would just walk up and thank him for their service without even asking. And he's just like, you're welcome. And he's like, fuck it, I'm the elephant guy. You're welcome for your service.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was nom.
That's so funny.
That's awesome.
Dude. That's some Bob shit.
But to bring it back, yeah, I would say so. Cleveland's made some leaps and strides as far as new animal habitats. They just put in a beautiful tiger enclosure that makes it really suck for photographers. They use that black mesh crap. And like
zoo panels.
It's garbage. It's fucking trash to photograph through. I'm not a big fan of plexiglass either.
Zoo mesh.
Yeah, zoo mesh. Yeah, well, they can go right to hell because every photographer on the planet, they've become a bane in the fucking. So anyway, so they do this nice enclosure, and it's real pretty. But the cats either don't move or they pace constantly.
Sure.
However, I will say that it is breathtaking in comparison to their old exhibit. Their old exhibit was a concrete cave that you were literally like 50 feet away from the cat.
Racine Zoo.
Is that what it is?
Pretty close.
Yeah. I mean, and that was probably the standard in the 70s or 60s when it was built.
Yeah. And that was okay.
How old is Cleveland Zoo?
So Cleveland Zoo, I want to say the very first Cleveland Zoo started in either the early 1900s or late 1800s.
Yeah, it's got to be at least 100 years old.
Well, they moved it. So the original zoo was where our botanical gardens is. Actually, one of the botanical gardens, I think it's like the Japanese garden, is placed right next to the orangutan exhibit, like where it was. And then there's a bear exhibit.
Over 142 years old.
Yeah, the Cleveland Zoo's been around for a minute. So then, I don't know. I don't remember when they moved it because I was before I was born. But they moved it to the new location, which is right underneath the like Fulton area bridge, and it's a much bigger facility now. But I want to say when I was a little kid, they built the rainforest onto it, and the rainforest was awesome. Like, you'd walk in the door and you feel like you were transformed into like there was like pathways through trees and stuff. The exhibits themselves in the first floor of the rainforest were trash. It was, the gift shop was bigger than anything on the first floor. So you were like they had some like little, I don't remember what kind of monkeys they're called, but they're these little, they're like capuchin, but they're not.
Tamarin?
I don't know. They kind of remind me of squirrels.
Oh, like a capuchin. Like a vervet, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. There's two exhibits on the first floor right as you walk in the door that have so much foliage around them, and they use like a thin wire that looks like jail cells.
Mm-hmm. I know just what you're talking about.
Yeah, and you can barely ever see anything in them. I think I've tried to photograph there like 20 times over the years, and I never get a single shot.
Well, this is another huge difference, in my opinion, between municipal zoos and private zoos. These animals aren't hanging out with people every day at municipal zoos, so they're not excited to see you guys.
No.
Well, I think you got to think about it this way too. They're in their like their own little habitats.
Mm-hmm.
You're walking by, your snot-nosed brat of a kid's walking by, slapping the glass. This thing is looking at you like, wow.
Just a monster. It's monster behind this glass, and you're just slapping it. It's like,
you're the animal, kid.
Yeah.
Right. But you get these animals that are so disassociated, and that's how people, your caregivers are not, there's no relationship with the animal, or if it is, it's through this glass. So the first time there's an emergency, the first time there's something that needs to be done, there's protocols in place, but they don't know the keepers don't know how to react. The animal sure as hell doesn't know how to react. And that's how people get bit.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I know I keep bringing it up, but like the whole Harambe situation, like that kid fell in. Harambe did what silverbacks are supposed to do. Why is there a screaming baby?
Mm-hmm.
He went up. Yeah, he's a gorilla, so he's dragging the kid around.
Yeah.
But he was protecting it, keeping it away from all the other gorillas. You could have, as a keeper that had a relationship with that ape, you could have walked into that enclosure and been like, gimme. And if it knew you as a mother, it would have given you the damn baby.
Yeah, that's valid.
There's no reason to have killed him.
No, yeah, instead they just dropped him where he stood.
Right.
Not even a dart, but a bullet.
Yeah.
Why try to put him to sleep? We're just going to take him out.
I understand that there's a life at stake, but there was a mistake made.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, a trank gun. Yeah, pop him. Yeah, what's he going to do? Fall over? Yeah, he may. Yeah, squish that little bastard kid.
Let's try to save both instead of just one, though, But,
right. In my opinion, look, I'm not saying human lives aren't important, but the parent and the kid fucked up, and not that the kid, not that I can say, not that people want to hear me say that the kid is at fault. So the parents fucked up, but they could have thought this through. A lot of shit happens in panic, and it wasn't done correctly.
No. Right. I have my thing is, who gave that order? Who was like, shoot it?
And that's a common order.
Right.
It's
I know.
uncommon.
I live right by Zanesville. I know.
Oh yeah. And like, I get it, and I get the perception of it of save the people.
Jack Hanna is Satan.
But these animals aren't, with respect and in certain boundaries, these animals aren't that fucking dangerous. And the animals, the cats and the others that got basically assassinated during the Zanesville massacre.
Oh yeah.
Most of those cats
were savable.
Weren't near anyone.
Nope.
There were a couple people that did not call 911. There were some reports. Of course, there was a shit ton of cats, but those cats could have been darted and rehomed.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we're talking 70. Was it 72 animals?
I don't remember at all, but it was a lot of fucking cats.
Yeah, I mean, I was actually filming a music video right around the corner from there when it happened, and I remember watching the helicopter just fly through a field behind us, popping off rounds.
Jeez.
And I'm like, what in the hell's going on? I had no idea because we were out in the middle of a field shooting a music video with a tree on fire. But
that's what they want to see.
56.
56, yeah. I mean, that's ridiculous. Like, I'm fully aware that the gorilla, that Harambe was strong enough. If he wanted to be aggressive, he could have ripped that kid in half.
Yeah.
Without even hesitation. But as a keeper, you would know the animal well enough to know that he's just protecting. Yep. His job as I hate to say it, the alpha of the group is to make sure all of the children are in line.
Yep.
He's got a screaming bald monkey that just fell into his enclosure and he's trying to shut it up, but he doesn't know how. And all the other gorillas are freaking out because they think they're going to get in trouble. So here comes their boss to break it up. Yeah, he dragged that kid all over hell. He ragged all the shit out that kid.
That's the least he deserved, though.
Oh, yeah. That kid does. But anyways, yeah, like he, sure.
That kid's going to grow up and be the most hated person on the planet.
I was just thinking that. Like, you can never tell anyone you're the kid that fell in the Harambe pit.
I fell in the Harambe pit. Someone put a bullet in his fucking head. Yeah, we be in a bar fight right now. Like, we scrapping. Yeah, I just look at
R.I.P. Harambe.
Dicks out for Harambe. I look at the relationship that people who work at municipal zoos have with the animals, and I've known plenty of people that work at municipal zoos, and it's not the keepers. I'm not saying that the keepers don't have love for their animals. I'm not saying that at all, because I know some keepers that are die-hard, passionate, know every single thing from start to finish about their animal.
They can just only go as forward as their job lets them.
Yeah, they're locked on the other side of the door, just like the animal's locked out. Like, and yes, it's for their protection. There's other ways to protect. Learning, relationships, things like that. You guys talk about how Bob walked around with tigers and just, we did the interview yesterday. That's your pops, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. We did the interview yesterday and we're talking about, he's talking about walking into an elevator with Sabrina and she's a 600-pound tiger, 400-pound tiger, something like that.
Yeah.
Big old girl. I'm just picturing her on a leash. My very first meeting with her was hilarious. She punched me in the nuts. But she walked up, looked me dead in the eye and goes, and I'm like, oh, thanks. Hi, nice to meet you. Yeah.
First time I dealt with Tara here, the tiger before that, I was filling up water and the hydrant is right by the cage. I'm bent over, filling up the water, and all of a sudden I felt on the back of my head. I was like, oh my God. Well, that was my first experience with a big cat at work.
But I don't know. It's not the keepers. It's the actual institution of zoos. And like I said, they do great for breeding programs. They've helped a lot of animals. they do provide some level of education sometimes.
You're right that it's not the keepers because, again, they're only allowed to do as much as they let them. But you got to remember too, which is it's also sad that the keepers, even if they were allowed to like all suddenly touch the animals, the higher ups, they don't have any knowledge of how to interact with the animals at municipal zoos. It would be from ground zero.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Nobody there knows what it's like
because nobody knows protocols of real relationships with those animals.
So, the modern day zookeeper is somebody that just gets a degree in animal behavior, read a bunch of textbooks, and gets into a career, which is cool. Like, I don't want to throw too much shade on that. Do what you love. It sucks that most of your opportunities are going to be in a municipality, but you're not. Abe's 100% right. You're not going to get the bonds there, and you're not going to understand animal behavior to 100%.
Well, and I feel bad because, like, sometimes, I'm sitting here going, oh, the municipalities are bad, blah, 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 blah. And, like, you guys in your situation are so much more in tune with what your animals are doing. And I've brought my opinion up in front of other animal people, and they're like, well, I know my animal. But do you really?
Do you?
Like,
let's be honest. That side of the fence, you do.
Yeah.
What?
And I'm not saying that they aren't educated. I'm saying that they're not. You can only be so in tune.
You say you're keeping a tiger, which is a bad example because now this is all illegal with cats and whatnot. Right. You hang out with it. You talk to it by the glass. It even chuffs at you. It kind of talks to you. And you say you know that cat. If you decided one day to break the rules and go in the pen with that cat, it's not the same cat. There's a chance that it's not the same cat because you've never pet it.
Yep.
It's never sniffed you. You can't sniff you through the 3-inch plexiglass.
Yeah.
You don't know the spot it likes to be rubbed. If it wants to be rubbed, you don't know anything. You have formed a bond through a pen or a glass, which it's far, far, far different. Everything is going to change once you go inside.
Yeah, even if you reach in, like you're reaching through a porthole or whatever, and you're scratching it, and it loves you when you do that. And you think it's your best friend. You could open that door and it'd be like, lunchtime.
Absolutely.
You're done.
You don't know until you start spending time around.
Especially like, you brought up tigers, but like koala bears.
Yeah.
Like,
nasty.
You're talking about something that literally sounds like a demon, and they got teeth for some reason.
And chlamydia.
Yeah.
Lots of chlamydia.
They give you that clap. But, but yeah, I mean, even like, what do they call them? Drop bears in Australia. And that's fun. Because they're stupid. They're always high and they fall out of trees and they've got giant claws and teeth, and they come flying out of a tree at 25 miles an hour and land on your head trying to scramble to catch themselves, and they literally tear you to the bone by accident. What do you think that thing's going to do? Like, granted, I've seen a lot of zoos where, like, even in municipality, they'll hold the koalas, but only for, like, 5 minutes.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all you get.
Yeah, 5 minutes, done.
If that,
And I do want to go on record here and say most municipal zoos at this point do have some type of encounter.
Yeah.
So like it's not 100% hands off, but it's probably like 90.
Yeah, it's getting it. So it seems to be getting a little better with places like the Wilds. The Wilds is great,
But they have to adapt because they're coming to realize that the general public doesn't like animals stuck behind glass.
Right.
Yeah.
So everybody's adapting, and that's good for the animals.
Oh, it's great for the animals. Well, and like we had a polar bear at the Cleveland Zoo. She had been there for 20 years. She's old girl. I visited the zoo at the same time of year, every year for 5 years straight or something like that. I have the exact same picture of her from every year because she was sad.
Sure.
Miserable. Now, I'm not saying a polar bear is something you want to be playing with. They're not an animal that needs handling.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're going to house a polar bear, it needs enrichment.
Yeah.
More than a beach ball. Yeah. And I'm sorry, but I'm literally watching a polar bear in 95-degree heat sitting out on a rock.
Did it at least have a pool?
Oh, yeah, it did have a pool. but she never really swam.
Like 85
Sure.
degrees.
Yeah.
Is it just one polar bear?
Yeah.
Huh.
Hmm.
Where's its buddy?
That's the other thing, right?
Right. That's
Yeah.
why I put everything I have in at least twos, even like my
Yeah.
non-social species. You know,
Well,
it
Noah's Ark, bro.
can change in captivity.
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
know?
I mean, look at we always look at cats as an example. House cats, they can live in groups.
Mhm.
Tigers are solitary.
However, in captivity, you can tend to overlook that.
Oh yeah,
You know,
what is it? Cheetahs now are hunting in packs.
that's wild.
They've got
So
they've
fast.
they've been oh man, but they've been following a group of tigers in Africa or a group of cheetahs. My bad. In Africa, it's 4 brothers or something like that, and they're max hunting in comparison to single animal. They're whipping everything because you got a 70-mile-an-hour killing machine that's now times 4 coming after you. And they're watching the lions and learning how to maneuver and hunt.
Mhm.
They're learning, they're adapting. So humans have to do the same when caring for these animals, because
Yeah.
I've held animals that everybody in the world told me was the most vicious thing in the world. 2 seconds later, it's curled up on my neck, asleep, purring, or making its weird little baby noises. And I'm like, oh, this thing is nice as hell. And then I've literally had people be like, oh, she's a sweetheart. And then I touch it and it's like, gnawing through my arm. Like, so animals are unpredictable, which is why you have to have patience with them. I just think municipal zoos they're so afraid of being sued
Oh, yeah.
by employees, or I'm sorry, but if you work at a zoo, just sign the waiver.
Yeah.
I could be eaten.
Absolutely.
Like, that should be a risk you take.
Well, it still happens, too. Not as common as it used to
Right.
be, but
Right.
Yeah, I've seen some elephants running motherfuckers over.
It's true, man, and there's a time and place for municipalities.
so that's your least favorite zoo. I know that was a long topic. but
Yeah.
Now, I already know this next answer. They're the best zoo you've ever been to. I know it's Rigdon Ranch, so we can just get past it.
Right.
What's your favorite?
Favorite zoo?
So actually, it's the Newport Aquarium.
Oh,
Okay, that's a different answer.
Yeah, the Newport it's right, literally, you could stand in Cincinnati and throw a quarter at it. It's right in Newport, Kentucky, just on the other side of Cincinnati, across the bridge. And we got an ambulance. And it's beautiful. It's a beautiful facility. Their caretakers are educated. Everybody there seems to give a shit.
Sure. That's important.
And they have beautiful, like, okay, most places are like, all right, cool, we've got a tunnel for our sharks and our big salt tank that's a 30,000 gallon or 300,000 gallon tank that you swim through tunnel and stuff like that. Now they have that, obviously, but they also have a freshwater one.
that's cool.
Where they have the pond upstairs is stocked with bass and random freshwater, like river fish and lake fish, stuff that you'd find in Michigan, Lake Michigan or Erie or something like that. And it gives it a different feel. Like, you walk underneath it and look up, and it's maybe 16 feet by 16 feet or something like that. It's much smaller, obviously, but it looks more it's different.
Mhm.
And then they have awesome jellyfish room there, where I've spent many hours photographing. I do work with Mushroom Head, and those guys played at the Thompson House, which is the guy who invented the Tommy gun.
Okay.
They turned his house into a concert hall.
That's
So
cool.
I was following him on tour, photography, doing photos and stuff for him, and some video work, and them and Unsaid Fate. And we went down there, and we were like, you get down there at noon, and you're like, well, shit, what do we do now? Everybody's, they're set up and ready to go, sound checked. So we were like, oh, fuck it. Let's go across the street to the aquarium. Hands down, I have been to a few in that area. Newport is just beautiful. It's a beautiful facility.
I've never been to an aquarium.
No?
Really? Well,
We gotta
we're going to Legacy because I'm trying to work on them to get them to do a book too.
That'd be perfect in the winter when you're dead.
True.
I mean, not dead, but like,
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, Legacy's indoors.
I
so.
would love to see Legacy as my first aquarium for sure.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Because
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of Shed anymore. I've been there a couple times. I'm over Shed Aquarium now.
So Cleveland's
Is
got an
Shed Chicago or Milwaukee?
Chicago.
Yeah, I've never been to Chicago's.
Don't go.
That's what I would say. Tell you about Cleveland's too. Cleveland. Okay, so Cleveland's aquarium. They built it in the old Powerhouse building, and it's just small.
Yeah.
It's not. That's the problem. They're charging Newport or Tampa Bay or Atlanta prices, and the thing takes 25 minutes to walk through. Like,
Yeah.
it's basically $1 a minute. Like, I think it's like $25 person. I think it's way overpriced for the size.
Sure.
The facility itself is beautiful. They just built it a few years ago, so it's modern. It's got modern pumps in it and things like that. The setup isn't bad, but it's just tiny.
Sure.
It's very, very tiny. And you don't quite realize how tiny it is until you're already like 90% through it, and you're like, oh, I can see the exit. So,
Right.
but I got to see the aquarium before it opened, and it was I mean, they still had plastic wrap on some of the plexiglass
That's cool.
at that time. So
Super fresh.
yeah. I shot a food show in the building next to it, and they were like, "You guys want to come see the aquarium?" I'm like,
Hell
yeah,
yeah.
sure. Yeah. So
That's badass.
That's cool.
yeah, I like animals.
Shit. Same as the rest of us, man.
Right.
So, Abe, I hate to cut you short here, but we're about at podcast time here.
All right.
We appreciate you not only coming out this weekend and doing the work at Rigdon Ranch you've done.
Dude,
with
it's
us.
a pleasure.
You guys are amazing to work with, by the way.
Just
Thank you.
Fucking ridiculous. You're the only one, man, that has the passion for the animals in the camera that could do it that up close in these small personal settings, man. You're awesome, and I appreciate you. And as far as the podcast goes, I'd love to have you back sometime.
Oh yeah.
You know, I know you're an ocean away, really a lake away.
Yeah, lake away.
It's a big
But
one.
even if we do it over the cam sometime, that'd be
Yeah.
totally fine.
Yeah.
Before we get out of here, I didn't dive into it too much. But if you just wanna, give a little shout out, to Blind 7, just kind of, give everything you do, because we've been talking about photography here. You do more than that. Let's hear a little bit about it before.
Okay. Well, so Blind 7, we've been around for 18 years. Little brainchild of mine. We started off as photography, so we did lots of photography stuff, fashion, modeling stuff, a little bit of commercial. We specialized in haunted attraction, for haunted attraction advertisement. I've always been a horror fan, so it just kind of came natural to me to write and direct and concept pieces for haunted houses. So I did that for years. I still do that. And then in 2012, my buddy Skinny asked me to, shoot a music video direct a music video for his band. And I did QWERTY for Mushroomhead. And then we did Out of My Mind after that. And we just kept rolling with it. And I fell in love with doing music videos and started doing that more often. Still doing animals, still doing models and all that crap. And then I had a nice 2-hour conversation with Doofus one day after a shoot. And Doofus introduced me to his handler, and me and Shane became friends. And then, I've got a good team now. And actually, you do know that you're still, you said you've worked for me occasionally. You're still on the website as my cam op.
I know. And I definitely consider myself part of the team. It's
always.
It's just a pain in the ass being so far away. I wish I was
know.
there more.
I know, but we just keep you for the jobs that we're flying to here and flying to there. And, it's always been a pleasure to work with you. So I've, consider you a great friend. I'm not, just trying to blow smoke, but I loved Jodan. when I came here, and I guess it was kind of at the downfall of Jodan, but from what I've heard over the weekend, but
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
but I loved it when it was here the first time, and I loved it today. This whole weekend's been a blast, dude. My wife, Julia, I love seeing the smile on her face, dude, when she's out there playing with Newton, and she's been giddy, bouncing on the bed in the hotel room every night. She's happy, and I'm so seeing her happy also makes me happy, and this whole thing has just been great. So, so I'm a photographer. I do video work. We do a lot of commercial stuff. We are in the process of opening up the Shedio, which will be fun. So you have to come see the Shedio.
Fuck yeah.
We decided.
Road trip.
Well, I spend so long in my career going, I want a 3,800 square foot studio with a psych wall and all this other crap. I don't. By the time
you had one before.
Oh yeah, we had a 3,800 square foot studio for like almost 3 years. And then, the landlords sold the building to some corporate conglomerate. They wanted to raise the rent 300%.
Of course.
Shit. So, we had to move out, and moving out was the best thing. Juliet got to go to California to work for the state park for a while. She went and worked for, the one with the big trees.
The redwoods?
Yeah, but it wasn't redwood. It was one of the other ones.
I don't know.
I have acute aphasia after the hospital incident last year, so my memory I forget words. I know what I'm talking about, I just forget the word for it.
I do that, and I didn't have an incident.
Yeah, me too, man.
Yeah, lack of oxygen to the brain will do that too.
Yeah.
So we're starting the Shedio because it's a micro studio. It's in my backyard because I'm handicapped now, that I can walk out the back door. I can hobble with my cane and my walker to the Shedio, hop on inside and create artwork, do commercial work. So
awesome.
Absolutely. Well, there you guys have it. Shedio coming soon. It's going to be really fucking cool, but we got a very talented photographer, videographer, cinematographer. This man does it all, and once again, we really appreciate you having you on, man.
thanks, man. This has been fun.
And Fluffy, without further ado,
Happy Hump Day, everybody.
Happy Hump Day.
Happy Hump Day.
Happy Hump Day.